In 2015, the year before the first Hitman game in the World of Assassination trilogy launched, the closed alpha for the game was underway, with several people having access to an early build of the game. Fortunately for us fans, this build was leaked, and 6 years later allows us to look back in time to see what could have been for this trilogy. Recently, I also managed to get my hands on another never seen before alpha build, and I did a mostly blind playthrough of this build if you'd like to check it out. For this video, I'll be covering two different builds of the game, one which was leaked in 2015 and one which I covered this year. Both builds contain console commands and other debug options. The build that was leaked in 2015 contains only the first map Paris, but it has a huge range of inventory items that never made it into the final game or didn't appear until the later games. The build that leaked this year contains less items than the 2015 leaked build, but it has access to all of the game's other maps and missions in early development, such as a very different early build of Colorado and working early builds of Sapienza and Marrakesh. Before we start, I'd just like to thank the users over on the HITMAN Forums for documenting and researching a lot of these changes. It's been a great resource, and you should check the discussion now for the alpha builds if you're interested in learning more. In this video, we're going to be going over cut gameplay features and changes, so let's take a look. You could choke NPCs to kill them with blunt melee weapons such as the crowbar when attacking NPCs from behind. Attacking someone head on with blunt melee weapons kills them instead of knocking them out. When you killed an NPC or fired a weapon in an area that other NPCs can hear, that location will become a crime scene and will be marked on the map. If you're spotted in a crime scene, as long as you're not doing an illegal activity, the guards will frisk you for weapons.
Have you got anything on you that I should know about? Yeah, nothing. No.
If they don't find anything, they continue on their search and you're free to go. When you knock out an NPC, 5 spinning stars appear above their heads. As time passes, the stars become less, and when it gets to 1, the NPC would wake back up unless they were stashed in a container.
What happened?
Subduing would knock NPCs out longer than a thrown object would too. The map would show trespassing locations in red, but only for 47 Sue. This wouldn't update if you changed disguises, so that's likely why they removed this to avoid confusion. The map showed the location names of each area on the map. This was removed in the final game and brought back in Hitman 2. Icons next to the map indicate your current status, such as trespassing, visibly armed, hostile, in crime scene, and near dead body. You could conceal items in crates that were placed around the map. Once the item was placed in a crate, the crate would be marked green when using instinct. These crates would be moved by NPCs and would allow you to smuggle weapons past frisk points.
Hi. Sorry, we can't let anyone through without doing a security check first. This is just standard procedure. We're all friends here. And you're good to go. Thanks a lot.
These crates also appeared on early versions of Sapienza and Marrakesh. The briefcase was in an early build of Hitman 1, except it was known as the suitcase. This acted just like the crates did, except 47 could pick the suitcase up and bring it around. This was removed in the final game and brought back in Hitman 2 as the briefcase. Unlike Hitman 2, you can't conceal items directly from your inventory. You have to equip the item and then conceal it while the suitcase is on the ground. You can't carry a pistol and a suitcase at the same time like you can in Hitman 2. You can't throw the suitcase at all, not even at NPCs like you can in Hitman 2. You can't use the suitcase as a melee weapon like you can in Hitman 2. 47 will just use his hands instead. When running with the suitcase, it sounds like there's an object inside it getting thrown around. When being frisked, guards don't check the suitcase like they do in Hitman 2.
Hiya. You nervous? Oh, don't be. This is just a formality. And you're good to go. Thanks a lot.
Only security, technicians, and Iago staff are allowed on the first floor.
There was 2 briefcase models, however, one was broken and would launch 47 into the air when spawned. Point shooting from Absolution was meant to return. Not all weapons could do it, however. If a weapon was capable of point shooting, there was a meter on the bottom right of the screen next to the ammo counter. When activated, the meter would empty and you'd have to wait for it to replenish before you could use point shooting again. There was a different UI for doing actions. You could turn taps off after turning them on. This was removed in the final game and brought back in Hitman 2. Camera grids were in early builds. This was removed in the final game and brought back in Hitman 2. Hiding in crowds was being worked on for Hitman 1. When hidden in a crowd, a UI element would pop up in the bottom left, indicating how much 47 is hidden from each side. In my testing, this feature doesn't actually work in these builds, and the feature never made it into the final game. This feature returned in Hitman 2, except it's a lot more binary. Once you're marked as hidden, you can't be seen from any angle. A lot of animations from Absolution remain in early builds of Hitman 1, such as dumping bodies. These were all likely placeholders though. If 47 fakes a surrender, once a guard approaches him, he removes the guard's weapon and take him hostage. The animation is exactly the same as Absolution, so this is likely a leftover and was never intended for Hitman 1. However, there is unique dialogue for hostage situations as seen here, possibly from Absolution.
You're outgunned. You don't stand a chance. Let him go. Last chance. Do it!
Once 47 runs out of ammo, he can't reload with a hostage. You can also take human shields if you approach an NPC from behind with a pistol.
Let him go. He's got nothing to do with any of this. This is between you and me.
Enforcers were marked with a triangle above their heads instead of a circle. The triangle would change colour depending on how they'd react to 47. So if you had a visible illegal weapon, the triangle would be orange instead of white. Unlike the final game, there's no compromise state. Once you receive the message that you're clear, all NPCs on the map forget about any crimes they've seen you commit. Unlike Hitman 3, you can swap shoulders without aiming your weapon. IO please fix. And that's it for this video. It's great to look back at the games we love and see how they changed over the course of development. Don't forget, not everything here was intended to be in the final game, so don't be too harsh on IO for features that were removed. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. Follow me on Twitter for the latest updates on my videos and other content, and don't forget to subscribe to support the channel.